5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's Labor Day weekend. Have you ever wondered, though, why we celebrate the thing that most of us are trying to avoid? And relatedly, did you know that the church actually has something to say about labor, about work? That's what we're going to be talking about today on Ignition. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Bergwald, and we want to set your faith ablaze so that you might live the adventure that comes from a relationship with Jesus Christ. Before we get into the topic of work, we want you to know that we love listener feedback. So if you got questions about today's episode, or if you have ideas for future episodes, please contact us. The easiest way to do so is by email, and the address is ignition@sfcatholic.org. Again, ignition@sfcatholic.org. I'm joined in studio once more by Renae Kranz. Hi, Renae.
Hi, Chris.
Briefly, would you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
Sure. Renae Kranz, Director of Communications for the Diocese of Sioux Falls, married to Ryan for 19 years. Packers fan.
Oh, yeah. It's that time of the year
Very
again.
excited about football.
Yeah.
Yay.
Great. So moving on. Before we get into today's topic, this is kind of going back to why do we celebrate Labor Day, Renae?
I've always wondered that because really, if we could celebrate Labor Day with an entire week off, that'd be way better.
Why do we? Why?
Right?
Why is there a holiday called Labor Day?
I don't know. It's weird.
Don't you wonder about?
Oh, sure.
This ever?
I know. I just
Tiffany?
don't feel like answering you.
I bring you on the show to answer.
I'm kind of feeling ornery at the moment.
You are. Like, you're just going to sit there like bump on a log and I don't know.
Why
Yeah.
do we celebrate labor? Because labor is a good thing.
Then why do we try to avoid it?
Because it's also sometimes drudgery, like right now.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Why is it a good thing?
Because it helps us grow, and I'm going to sound like a 5-year-old and help people.
and make money. And I like money.
and make money.
Because I like to buy things.
I'm in a weird mood at the moment. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's a very different from last week's episode.
Let me get it together. Don't ask me a question here for a few minutes and see what you can do.
Okay, that's good. So I guess we're going to go monologue today, folks. So we're going to have you on the show,
You
Renae.
have it all written right here.
I don't have it all written right. So 40 years ago, next month, September, it was actually September 14th,
70-something.
40 years ago.
40. I'm 40. I don't know. 82? I don't know. I'm going to be.
So I'm really tempted, folks. We're stay with us, folks. We're not going to start the show over. We're too far in. 2021 minus 40 is 1981. Not 70 something, not 82. But you and I talked today, actually, as a recording about how math is not your thing.
It is not
It
my
really
thing.
isn't, is it?
It really isn't.
So,
My husband can attest to that.
Ryan's like, are you serious, Renae?
Yes.
Serious?
I guarantee you,
Are
as
you
we're
gonna
watching
watch-
this, he's looking at me like, who are you?
Really? Oh, no, he knows.
Yes, that's
He
probably
knows
true.
that this is just par for the course. September 14th, 1981, the Feast of the Triumph of the Cross.
Oh,
actually.
never heard of that one. Do we do that anymore? The Feast of the Triumph of the Cross?
Yeah, every
Okay.
year on September 14th.
Okay.
Yep. So maybe we'll talk about that in a couple weeks.
Okay, good.
On that date, 1981, John Paul II came out with one of his early, not the first encyclical letter. What's an encyclical letter?
Why?
Because you're the audience and people are like,
What
who?
it's a letter written by the Pope that is usually some sort of teaching.
Yeah, it's a doctrinal, a teaching document on something or other.
Right.
Some teaching of the church that the Pope thinks we should talk more about. So
It
this
doesn't
one,
create doctrine, right?
No.
Right.
It
It's just a
clarifies,
teaching,
explains, understands,
Yeah.
teaches, so we can understand more. He released one called Laborum Exercens. on the value and dignity of human labor. Work. So I love the fact now, I'm pretty sure, well, maybe somebody told JP too, hey, guess what? September is when Americans celebrate Labor Day, so this is going to be perfect. Maybe, I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it.
But he released, so 40 years ago, in the month in which we celebrate traditionally, yes.
I just see that the year 1981 is on the sheet, and I couldn't even come up with it.
Sheet. As is the time in which the show ends, unlike last week's episode. But that's another story.
It's been a struggle.
So he released this encyclical. And what I want to do, Renae, is look at a little bit from the beginning of Laborum Exercens after we look at a slightly more authoritative document.
The Bible.
The Bible. Thank you for saying that for the people who are listening. Don't just stare at it.
Holding it up.
Genesis chapter 2. What happens in Genesis 2, Renae?
Probably some sort of creation.
There's some sort of creation. The second creation account where God creates man from the dust of the earth.
Yes.
And woman from the
side of the man.
Side of the man. Very good. And then we read, this is chapter 2, verse 8 and 9. Verses 8 and 9. The Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east. And this is before the creation of Eve, actually. In the east. And there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground, the Lord made to grow every tree that is pleasant pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of death. But I want to fast forward to another verse where here we go. This is verse 15. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to till it and keep it.
Mm-hmm.
So God puts the man in the garden to till it and keep it. Adam has chores.
Mm-hmm. He does.
He's got chores.
I wonder if he got gold stars.
Now, is this before or after the fall?
Before.
Before the fall.
Yeah.
Adam is given responsibility with regard to the earth before the fall.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
Was work drudgery then before the fall?
Thank you for anticipating. After the fall, chapter 3, verse 17. To Adam, he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife. That was the mistake.
Always is.
And have eaten of the tree of which I command you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In toil shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles, that's the earth, the ground. The thorns and thistles it shall bring forth to you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, you are dust, and to dust you shall return. Drudgery comes because of sin. But the thing I want to emphasize here is that work is part of man's primordial, from the very beginning, vocation.
Okay.
He's called to till and keep the garden. Now, there's significance to that I'm going to get to in a minute in terms of what the words also refer to. But for the purposes of talking about labor and Labor Day, I think it's important for us to recognize that God created humanity, man and woman, and gave them the task of caring for creation and creating. So we are called to be co-creators with God of creation. We are God, the stewards of creation. We've been delegated responsibility by our God to till and keep all of creation. No, Pope Francis lately has talked about how it's because of this, because we're stewards. That means it's not ours, it's God's.
Right.
So you care for it knowing it's somebody else's property, not your own. So we have to be good stewards of creation. But here, what John Paul II, I think, is what he is emphasizing, what I want to emphasize for the sake of this episode of Ignition, is the truth that work, creating in that way, work is part of our deepest identity as human beings.
Okay.
We don't work just to pay the bills. to work is part of what it means to be human. Now, as I say that, some of us are like, are you kidding me? This is what, not work as drudgery.
Right.
That's because of sin. But the idea of creating something, whether it's something with your mind or with your hands, this goes back to our primordial call, because what did we read about Adam and Eve and their identity in the first creation account? Do you remember? God created them, male and female created them, and he created us in his
image
and likeness. What is God, as we're told in chapters 1 and 2 of Genesis? These are the what accounts, did you say? It's the
creation
So
account?
he is the
creator.
He's the creator. Work is a means by which we are fulfilling our identity as creatures made in God's image and likeness. We are mimicking the creator when we work. Why? Because again, whether with our hands or with our minds or some other way, we are creating. He is the creator. We are participating in his work of creation by means of our work.
And so this might be not only our job work, but also our work around the house, our gardening work, our cleaning the house work. Blah.
It's all ways in which we are. Yes, we're co-creators with God. What did God? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without
Form.
meaning.
Meaning?
What does that mean? If there's no form, there's no structure. If there's no structure, there's
Apparently no meaning.
chaos.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean there's
sure.
there was nothing, but before God created, there was nothing but God.
Right.
But I think it's worth recognizing here that God brings creation is bringing order out of ultimately nothing, and then order out of chaos. So when we clean our houses, what are we doing?
We're making order out of chaos.
We're making
for sure.
order out of chaos.
At least in my house we are.
And in that way, we are in a teeny tiny little way replicating God's great work of creation at the beginning of time, and the great work that he continues to do, because God continues to bring form out of the void, structure out of chaos.
You just made me feel slightly better about cleaning my house.
Because why? First of all, why? Why did I make you feel
Because
better?
I feel like, hey, God cares about this.
Because this goes back a few episodes. Because everything has meaning.
Yeah.
Remember, we talked about the meaning episode? You thought it was a train wreck. My dad was like, I didn't get anything out of that episode. But I loved it.
But watch it anyway, people.
Rewatch it anyway. As you can tell, if you're watching it, I'm kind of excited about what we talked about then and how it applies today. House cleaning has meaning and purpose. Why? Because we're mimicking in teensy-weensy little way God's great work of creation.
Right.
We're bringing order out of chaos.
And so to bring that to another level, the janitor at a school might seem like that's kind of maybe not the most desirable job. Some people really enjoy that stuff.
Right.
But that too, cleaning the house, cleaning the school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cleaning
the restaurant, whatever it might be.
Yes.
When after you're done with your shift servers, which I used to be one, and having to clean your tables.
Yep.
And
you're bringing order out of chaos. Apart from you're serving other people, but at a deeper level. Serving other people is a very important thing too. So there are multiple layers of depth.
Right.
That the most mundane tasks can entail.
Yeah.
So
we really shouldn't feel bad about any kind of work we do.
No,
whether it's
exactly.
at home or our work or whatever. I'm going to try to remember that.
So we're talking more about this in just a moment, but if you're just tuning in, you're listening to or watching Ignition. What is this? This is a broadcast of the New Evangelization, and I'm your host, Dr. Chris Bergwald.
He seems like that's a question.
And you are...
Renae Krantz.
Oh, yeah. And we're talking today about
Labor.
You had to look at the paper.
I did.
Seriously.
I forgot already.
We're talking about work. And you were just like, oh my gosh.
Very excited about it.
We were very excited about it.
10-second Tom.
What?
10-second Tom.
10-second Tom?
10-second Tom. Was he not in the room? He was. Okay, I don't want to
Inside
waste all your
communication
time.
based. All right, we don't have time to talk about 10
Short
second
memory.
Tom. Short memory. Okay. So this is the So Genesis chapter 1 and 2 show us how we are created in God's image and likeness. He put us in Adam in the garden before the fall to till the soil and to keep it. So the smallest things that we do, we're bringing order of chaos. We're imitating our God, our Father, our Creator in so doing. Last thing I want to say before we turn to JP2, going from Genesis to JP2, to till the earth and keep it. That actually, the words there, the Hebrew words till and to keep, are the same words that are used to describe the ministry of the priests, which we read about later in the Bible, in the Jerusalem temple.
Oh.
So the words in Genesis chapter 2 have a priestly connotation to them.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Then we must take part in Jesus's priesthood somehow.
So not
very
only
excited.
when you're doing the dishes, when you're wiping down tables at the restaurant, when you're tidying up the house, we're mimicking God's work of creation, and it's a priestly offering.
Okay.
It's a priestly offer. When we till, what Adam did in the garden, caring for creation, was a priestly thing. What do priests do? What makes a priest a priest?
They offer sacrifices.
They offer sacrifice. When you and I are doing the most mundane task, we're bringing order out of chaos. We're mimicking God as the creator. And we're doing a priestly work. We're offering a sacrifice to God. We can, and this is a phrase that you and I have talked about, we can offer it up.
Yeah.
So the most mundane thing, which maybe is not like drudgery, maybe it's mind-numbingly boring, can be, first of all, co-creator with God. Secondly, a priestly offering we make in Jesus Christ because we're baptized to God for the salvation of the world.
I like it.
Everything you do, the most and there, I'm sure, Renae, if you and I thought about hard enough, there's probably something that just in even our jobs here at the diocese,
Yes.
maybe for you it's being on ignition. I don't know.
That's what Bill's is.
But guess what, Renae? You can offer it up and recognize that you are working to create structure out of chaos.
I think I do. I think I create chaos while I'm here.
Maybe that might be. I'm trying to do that.
Yes.
But it is co-creation with God and a priestly sacrifice.
Okay.
Everything we do.
Okay.
JP2.
I like it. All right.
All right. So this is how Laborum Exercens, this again encyclical letter, teaching document on work begins. Through work, man must earn his daily bread. So I'm going to read through. It's a long paragraph. I'm going to read it, but then comment. Must earn his daily bread and contribute to the continual advance of science and technology, and above all, to elevate unceasingly the cultural and moral level of the society within which he lives, in community with those who belong to the same family. Okay, that's the first sentence, and it's packed. I want to just talk about a couple things. So the point of when in our work, we are able to elevate unceasingly the cultural and moral level of the society in which we live. Okay, now you and I could probably, I hope you could. I can kind of see how hopefully in my work as Director of Discipleship Formation for the Diocese of Sioux Falls, I am elevating the cultural and moral level of society. Hopefully that's happening. But the formally speaking, the last job that I have, I helped in home title
Oh, sure.
execution, like the background, like loan processing.
Right.
Not the loans, but the title processing.
I'm trying to fit that
What
in
was your
there.
last job, Renae?
I worked as an administrative assistant for a accounting firm.
I helped process home
Accounting
titles.
numbers.
No comment. You were an administrative assistant for an accounting firm.
Yeah.
To elevate unceasingly the cultural and moral level of the society in which we live. Really, JP2? And he would say back to us, really, Bergwald? Really, Kranz? Okay, going on. To do so with those who belong to the same family. And work means any activity by man, whether manual or intellectual, with your hands or with your mind, whatever its nature or circumstances. It means any human activity that can and must be recognized as work in the midst of the many activities of which man is capable and to which he is predisposed by his very nature by the virtue of humanity himself. Man is made to be in the visible universe an image and likeness of God himself, and he is placed in it in order to subdue the earth. That's from Genesis 1, which I didn't. From the beginning, therefore, he is called to work. Work is one of the characteristics that distinguish man from the rest of creatures whose activity for sustaining their lives cannot be called work. So I want to pause there because I'm going to explain why. Why do you... So what he just said was dolphins, dogs...
Let's use a good one. Beavers.
Building
dams.
Don't work. Mm-hmm. They have activities, if you will. They're doing stuff. But in the biblical sense, the theological sense, they don't do work. Only man and woman, only humanity does work. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is? Well, don't look, because he's going to say why.
I would say it's because like animals do activities to survive only. Where we are, a lot of the work we do has nothing to do with whether or not we survive.
Right. It's
just
for more.
Nothing to do with that.
So I'm going to go on and see what he says, and then we'll comment. Only man is capable of work, and only man works at the same time by work occupying his existence on earth. Thus, work bears a particular mark of man and of humanity, the mark of a person operating within a community of persons. And this mark decides its interior characteristics. In a sense, it constitutes its very nature. So work goes to the heart of what it means to be human. And we actually have already anticipated what he'll say, and we're definitely not gonna read the whole thing. Mm-hmm. There's one more paragraph later on that we're gonna read. Only human beings can do work because human beings alone are created in the image and likeness of God, and we alone by intention. So what is a person? A person is a being with intellect and free will. We alone among all the creatures which do amazing things, we alone are capable of creating order out of chaos.
Right.
We alone are capable of offering as a sacrifice, a priestly sacrifice, the work of our hands and the work of our minds. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as you think that, what does that say to you? What is it? How does it strike you right now? If we have time, I want to talk about another paragraph, but we have a few minutes left, so I don't know how this strikes you right now.
So what you're saying is like animals are working on instinct.
Yes.
Rather than, I said something about survival, but it's on instinct, where we're not working on instinct. We're using our free will to choose to do things.
Yes. So the beaver,
yeah.
Like bees,
right.
Like how the heck do they do it? It's purely by instinct. Right. There is no rational deliberation. There is no intentional choice. They just do that the way that you and I, the bees build beehives. Beavers build dams the same way that you and I beat our hearts.
Right.
I'm not consciously
heart,
choosing to beat my heart.
Right.
It does it on its own.
Right.
They do it just That's just what my heart beats. Beavers build dams. My eyes blink. Bees build beehives.
Right.
We alone by choice. Okay, real quickly to wrap this up. He goes on, work is one of those aspects, a perennial and fundamental one that is always relevant and constantly demands renewed attention to save a witness. Want to skip ahead. Because fresh questions and problems are always arising, there are always fresh hopes, but also fresh fears and threats connected with the basic dimensions of human existence. Man's life is built up every day from work. From work, it derives its specific dignity. But at the same time, work contains the unceasing measure of human toil and suffering, and also the harm and injustice which penetrates deeply into social life within individual nations and on the international level. While it is true that man eats the bread produced by the work of his hands, it is also a perennial truth that he eats this bread by the sweat of his face. And so he goes on from there. The point that he makes in this paragraph is that he's acknowledging that work is hard, and sometimes man is reduced to his work. And this is just what I want to talk about in the minute and a half we have left. Work is part of our identity, but man is more than just a worker.
Right.
So John Paul II was writing this in 1981 when communism was still real. But what goes around comes around. Today we're seeing a resurgence of communism and socialism. And the problem from a theological perspective is that communism, socialism reduce humanity, in their case, to simply being workers.
Workers in a cog.
Workers in a cog. And what John Paul II is saying is work what work does, or what work shows, is the fact that we are created in the image and likeness of God. We're more than just workers. Yes, work is part of our identity and dignity, but it shows that we're created by God.
Yes.
So I think in our own time, this will be, we just read a little bit from this document, but it might be a good one for those of us who really want to dig into this sort of thing. A good document, Laborum Exercens by John Paul II, The Dignity, the Value of Human Work, will be a good one for folks to read, I think.
Yeah, I think I should read it. It seems interesting.
Yeah, so I think folks, Renae and folks, just to think as we're celebrating Labor Day, work is a gift from God that he's given to us and a great task that he's called us to.
Yeah.
Amen?
Amen.
Thanks for being here, Renae.
Thank you.
That will wrap up this episode of Ignition. Again, folks, if you have any ideas, questions, or future episodes, please contact us, ignition@sfcatholic.org. And until next time, may God bless you.